Welcome to the Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast, the show for real estate couples about how to close more deals in the bedroom. My name is Nancy Jameson.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
And each week we deep dive into juicy, intentional, sexy conversations, sharing with you what it takes to create balance in your intimate relationships and your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here. Well, hello there, baby.
Hey, baby. What's happening?
I'm excited because I just found my reading glasses.
Okay. Always a source of excitement, for sure.
Well, what's exciting is that I found them, not that I wear them.
Got it. Cool.
Who can relate?
Yes.
Anywho, how are you being today, babe?
I'm great. Happy that it is this day and grateful for every day, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
And happy to be nearing the end of the week. Looking forward to, all the things that come with the weekend, including spending more time with you and the boys. So I think that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And doing great. How are you, baby?
I am well. I'm going to pause here and just say hello to all of our raving fans out there. Thank you so much for being here with us. We are in the process still of getting used to our camera and our lighting and our equipment and our new couch. And
we certainly don't really have it all figured out.
So if you have any suggestions, feel free to let us know what they are. If you see anything that we may not see.
Yes.
But yes, back to your question. I'm doing great. I really am. I feel great. And my hair came out really great today. I know, world problems. But yes. So thank you so much.
You are welcome.
So, I'm Nancy.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
Yay!
You're Nancy Jameson?
I am. I'm
awesome.
Nancy Renee Marie Cusick Jameson.
Mouthful. So, you, if you were looking for a podcast about sex, money, and real estate, you found the right place.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much for being here.
We are the show that gives realtors the permission to believe in the successful balance of their intimate relationship and business is not only possible.
It's the J.A.M.
Yeah, J.A.M, baby.
So what is J.A.M?
That is your joy we're looking for creating sustainable joy and abundance and maturity through all things personal and business.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, that relationship starts with you.
Yes. So what we're looking to do is spread that jam on the bread, baby.
Bread being the money.
So, yes, of course. So, we're agents and we're coaches. Yeah. And this is our very intentional way for us to share our story, share our resources and our plethora of experiences and the tools that come along with that for other mega real estate couples to increase their emotional and financial peace.
Yes.
And I think there's others that actually listen in on this conversation as well. And whether it's real estate or your business, that these tools and techniques can really permeate many areas of your life. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. And I think that's what one of the lessons out of the last year and a half or so is that there are little to no lines between personal and your professional life. And so it's an opportunity to just be transparent and authentic and speak unapologetically and be your authentic self in all of your roles and responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And again, that relationship starts with you. So you are in the right place, as Bill mentioned already. And so I do want to ask, I have a request from all of you out there. And if you feel that you've received value from the podcast, or if you feel that you are inspired to share it or subscribe or leave us a 5-star review, please do so. Just listen to that intuition, listen to that internal voice. And what it's sharing with you is that, again, you feel inspiration and you want to express it via gratitude. And so that may look like a donation to support the show, or that may look like that 5-star review, or that may look like subscribing to it and sharing with one realtor, because there is that value. And again, we're all in this together. We're in the trenches with you. We're on the journey with you. We're in the process with you. And, it's really important that we have that community that really assists each other and supports each other. And ultimately what happens is as a result of us supporting each other is all of our wins manifest and multiply, and everybody gets to share. And so again, that's what abundance is that everyone is experiencing that abundance, those resources, those experiences, the clients, the closings, whatever that looks like. And so that is my request, to please listen to that internal voice and subscribe to the podcast, or donate to the podcast, or share it with somebody, or, again, drop us a note and say, hey, this is what's going on for me. And
I need some feedback.
Yeah. So we're definitely here for that. So we love to start off every episode, and we do mean every episode, with magic. And so we define magic as your ability, my ability, Bill's ability to influence ourselves, others, or life in an empowering way. And so we love to share that, because what you focus on expands. And the more that we share and acknowledge the magic in our life, the more magic we get to share.
Right.
Or the more magic we create, the more magic that we experience, and then ultimately the more magic we share.
Right.
So, baby.
Yes?
What magic do you have to share today?
As many of our regular listeners, as you may know, that we do a family fun run. We actually do a fun run every Saturday. We call it a fun run.
Yeah. It is. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. we do between 4 and 5 miles pretty much every Saturday. And our boys and Nancy and I have been doing these 4 miles every Saturday. Probably 95% of all Saturdays we've been doing them for the last 6, 7, 8 years, something like
10.
that. 10 years?
Maybe. 8,
I don't
9.
know. A long time. 8 years. So it's been going on for a while. And, and it's all great. And I'm just sharing to, give you a little context. And a little more context is that, when I had my hernia surgery, I stopped running for a while,
Right. To heal.
Right.
All that jostling around felt uncomfortable.
Right. And I felt like, the last year and a half, there's been a lot of, beyond the surgery, I just feel like there's been a lot of injuries related to running. And so one of my downloads, my calf or a hamstring or
your Achilles for a minute.
My Achilles, right. Like just stuff coming up, and it just wasn't really that much fun, and I appreciate it, and I'm starting to feel a little burnt out on running. And so my download, and I like running. That's the thing. I like running, but I was feeling, it felt more mechanical than fluid, I guess. So my download was to start over. So I literally went back to running like I was a beginner, and I would run. I do this. What do they call it? Not intermediate.
The hit run?
No.
Interval
running. And I would run 5 minutes on and 2 minutes off. 5 minutes on and 2 minutes off. And then, and there's a great app called Couch to 5K where literally, like, if you've never run a step in your life, and you have a desire to run, this app, this program takes you from literally watching Star Trek on the couch to running a 5K.
Which is 3.2 miles.
Yeah. Right. And so despite what I know my capacity could be, for the last 7+ weeks, I have stuck to the schedule. And I'm going to tell you that my relationship has definitely grown and blossomed, and the runs have been much more effortless. So I appreciate the tenacity to just stick to the schedule, not try to rush things along, or, even judge a few of the runs that I didn't necessarily complete at the time or the pace that maybe was prescribed in the app. And at the end of the day, I'm feeling much better. My body feels better. I feel better about my runs, and it's been magical. So that's it. I'm complete.
Yeah. Well, and I just to add onto that also, my experience of you is the surrender associated with being at peace with slowing it down and being very intentional about it. And I think, what I'm aware of is that there is a tremendous lesson in that. Like that was a moment in which you could have easily judged yourself. You could have easily said, no, this is not, no, I'm going to force my way through this. I'm going to push through. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to get it done. And that's force, and so we talk a lot about power versus force, or being, and your power is your inspiration, your influence over yourself, your center of influence, or circle of influence, as Covey talks about. And so it's being circle of influence versus circle of concern. And so forcing it would be circle of concern. Like, I got to get it done anyway. I got to prove this to myself. I got to heal in 2 weeks and da-da-da. And that was a very mature decision around something that could have easily been like very aggressive and again, very forceful. So the maturity around the surrender associated with your choice in slowing it down, being intentional, discovering what worked for you, and then implementing that is what you're experiencing now, is the result of those wins, which is beautiful, because then it creates more confidence in your ability, more trust in your ability, more trust in yourself, that you make powerful decisions. You have the ability to slow it down and be intentional and go step by step. And then you have, it just builds confidence and trust in yourself, that you could trust your body, you could trust your decision-making. Like I said, and then you can utilize those strengths into other parts of your life. Oh, if I could do this here, then I can apply this here. If I could apply this here, then I could apply this here. And so you could take that lesson, and, if you're feeling burnt out in prospecting, then you could do the same thing. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to pause. And what's my peaceful place? Maybe it's 10 people a day instead of 20 people a day.
Right.
And,
get the win, right?
Get the win, and then build up from there. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's literally you practicing vulnerability in action.
Yes.
And so, we've been talking offline a lot about vulnerability, and the superpower behind vulnerability is courage. And it takes a very courageous man or woman to pause and like slow it down and build it back up. So I applaud you in it. I think it's beautiful, and it's an amazing lesson. One, maybe even you can share a little bit more, whether it's your accountability group that you lead, or the boys, or wherever, just because it's such a powerful lesson and people listen to you because you're very inspiring.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing all of that.
You're welcome. Awesome. You have some magic to share?
I have magic. Oh my gosh, I just forgot what I was going to share.
Cool.
Oh.
Well, we can come back to it if you want.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you for that. So our subject today is around fubbing. And I had no idea that there was a term for what it was. For
phone snubbing?
Phone snubbing. I had no idea that was actually a thing.
Right.
Yet what happened was you and I got in an argument about, well, what I feel like it was an argument about, being in the phone or not being in the phone, or just not being present with where I thought we were in the conversation, or like, it was in the evening, and it was a time to where we were, we were complete with work, and the boys were doing their thing and getting ready for bed. And then it was like our space, and you were in your phone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to hang out. We haven't seen each other. This is like our space, our time, whatever. And so I let it go. And yet it came up, I don't know, like a day or two later. And then it got a little crunchy there for a minute, a little robust. And then, so here comes this, of course, I don't know if Instagram was listening to our argument or whatever, but here comes Instagram's little, there was this little blurb, this caption post on fubbing, and it was a definition of fubbing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. And I'm like, look, and I think I sent it to you. And I was like, this needs to be a podcast, because this whole thing goes into so many different areas. And so the magic is that as a result of, my desire to connect with you more intimately in conversation and just hanging out, has turned into this, like a podcast about fubbing. It turned into some other really great things to which we'll end up with in the end of this. And I just really appreciate our ability to move through that breakdown and move it into a breakthrough. And so that's one of the things that Bill and I specialize in, is turning breakdowns into breakthroughs. And again, that is a component of the show, is like, how do we do that? And we do it like this, like having these real conversations and each one of us speaking our mind, and then, okay, cool. So this is how I feel. This is how you feel. And this is where we are with it. And what are the solutions? So that is the magic.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Really? That is not funny.
It's pretty funny.
You know, you are a very funny man. Probably one of the most funny men I know. That wasn't funny.
Okay. So the definition of fubbing is the practice of ignoring one's companion or companions in order to pay attention to one's phone or other mobile device.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like here we are sitting on the couch, and I'm like ready to have this amazing conversation with you about X, Y, and Z, and you're all up in your phone. And it's like, oh.
Right. Yeah. It's a bunch of vowel type answers, ohs, and you're not really paying attention, or ahas, right? Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Mother bleep, you're not paying attention. Yeah. So fubbing.
Stop
fubbing.
And so, you know, if you're doing it at home, you're probably doing it to other people. You know, we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, your friends and your family and your business associates may find that you're not present. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not really listening to, you know, I mean, whether the business at hand, whether it's, you know, selling the property or listening to the client's needs or listening to your family's needs. So our camera just shut off. It was running? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, talk about, while I get the camera loaded back up, Nancy, why don't you talk about... No, let's keep rolling.
Okay.
Talk about what's next.
This is live in action. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. All right. So again, you know, it's you not being present in the conversation. So you're saying that you're present in the conversation, but really what you're actually saying is that your partner or whomever you're having the conversation with is not important, that their message isn't important, their time isn't important. You'd rather be in your phone, or you'd rather be, you know, just doing what it is that you want to do. So again, I mean, that's definitely not the message that you want to be conveying to whomever you're with. So, you know, it all comes back down to listening and active listening. And active listening is definitely an essential part of being present with somebody. Active listening is very challenging. I mean, there's literally 5 different levels of listening. And this goes back to, again, this is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he breaks down the different levels of listening. And it's a skill you can develop. And what I'm sharing with you is that it definitely takes practice. I mean, it requires being face-to-face. It requires eye contact. It requires really listening to your partner or to your client before responding. And what that means is that you're literally like 100% or as much as you can, like engaged with that person. Like you're not formulating the response in your head
right
before they actually finish anything, because that's not listening. That's you doing what you want to do.
Right. Right.
It's autobiographical listening is really what it is.
Thank you.
And so it's very important. So what are the 5 levels of listening? Well, that is a great question.
Well, let's go through them one by one.
Yes.
Until we get to 5.
Absolutely. Okay.
So
number 1.
Yep. So probably at the basement, the bottom, the most basic level of listening is really almost not listening.
Yeah.
Right? It's ignoring is actually the term.
Yeah.
You know, so it is the most basic level of listening. And when it's kind of like you expend 0 effort to listen. It's very passive.
Yeah.
So, and it might be, and that really is probably Phubbing, really at its essence, is that level of listening, or it really ignoring. The next level is pretending. So, what do you remember about pretending?
Yeah. Well, that's what you just did to me before. Where you were just like, I'm sorry, what?
What? Pretending.
You're patronizing.
Yes.
Me. It's like, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Can you say that again? I mean, you gave the appearance that you were listening to me.
I mean, I was looking you dead on in the eyes, right?
Yeah, but you sure weren't listening to me.
No.
I mean, it's just the things that it's just was your body language, or clearly it was the question afterwards in which you asked me. It was like, can you repeat yourself? Yeah, no, that's pretending. Or what this also looks like? It's like the bobblehead. Like when somebody's when somebody's looking at you dead in the eye and they're actually like looking through you and they're just shaking their head. And you're like,
Yeah, can't stand it.
And it's like, okay, well, what did you understand me to say? And then they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
What did you say?
And pretending is a huge withdrawal from that emotional bank account.
Sure. Both ignoring and pretending are.
Yeah. I mean, ignoring it is for sure. But when you sit there and pretend to be engaged, ignoring is one thing, but pretending to be engaged, and then then you're busted, like you get asked the question that pertains to the, whatever was being conveyed in that moment. And you can't answer it. I mean, it's, and that makes it. And then, what happens is that person tends to try to like cover it up.
Oh my gosh. So is that Phubbing? Well, or is Phubbing ignoring between ignoring and pretending? I think Phubbing is all the above so far, or all the below, pretending and ignoring. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, all right, awesome. Third, selective listening.
All right.
Selective listening is definitely, I mean, it's like that middle part of it. Again, you're moving up the rungs of listening. However, you're only listening to selective parts of the conversation. So here's the thing, and it's usually at the end, like when you want to insert something like just to justify that you are listening. It's like inserting like, oh, and you want that quick comeback, or you want like that, oh, so you mean like da 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 da.
Right.
And it's actually, no, that's not what I was saying, And so there's this like conversation of miscommunication of, did you really understand what I was saying, or you didn't understand what I was saying? It's like, oh, I must have misheard what you were saying. And then boom, you're back to that cover up again. So you only hear parts of it. It's just like what it says.
Yeah. And I can see how, like, especially when you're not being fully engaged, where some of these can overlap, the selective versus the pretending versus the ignoring.
And there are times like there's selective listening, like when, like unfortunately, like when the boys are trying to share something with me that takes like a really long time, or I'm in the middle of something. It either takes really long time to explain, or I'm in the middle of something, and then here they come like out over that, mom, I gotta tell you, and it's like, okay, and I'm like, I gotta finish up what I'm doing, and then wait, no, I clearly don't. I need to get present with you and focus on what you're doing, but in the moment, I mean, it's selective. It's not, and then they're like, no, that's not what I was saying. So it shows up. It definitely shows up.
Yeah. And I feel like, I'm just thinking about the boys. I don't necessarily experience it as much with them anymore. I guess their conversations have evolved, yet, and I definitely remember like some of those conversations around Legos or Nerf guns and stuff like that, where there might be a little more selective listening. In that process, and the things that I wasn't necessarily as engaged in. I mean, I knew they loved them, and and all that kind of stuff, and yet, I could see where, just depending on what your interest level could dictate, where your level of listening is at that point too.
Of course, absolutely. I definitely think that plays into it, and again, if you're, I mean, that goes back to the emotional deposit. If you're emotionally depositing into their trust account, or you think of it like their bank account, then it's it doesn't matter,
right?
I mean, whether you enjoy Legos or Nerf guns or not, it's the level in which you're depositing into them, and listening for sure. I mean, this is what we're talking about, is a huge deposit.
Yep.
So Anything else about that?
No,
or
ma'am.
Number 4.
Number 4 is attentive listening. Okay, so again, if you're taking notes, we've had ignoring, pretending, selective listening, and now we're at attentive listening, which is the next level up, right? And we're calling it level up for a reason, right?
For sure. Well, this is better. I mean, this is definitely better.
Yep. So attentive listening is the level we should most frequently seek to achieve in our day-to-day interactions.
Yeah. So partnerships, kids, clients, family, definitely like the day-to-day. If you're in the office and you're mulling around and you're talking to your peeps in the office, then definitely.
Yeah,
So.
you're literally like remembering what's being said. You're internalizing the conversations or the messages. It does involve eye contact, and you got to think to understand, reflect,
which
rephrase.
Is habit 5, right?
Yeah,
Think first to understand.
Yes. So yeah, you're engaged and seeking to understand is definitely a great definition of attentive listening for sure.
Yeah. Well, and you're delivering a message to the other person too. Like they can feel that energetically. Like if you're present with them and connecting to what they're saying, and then clearly you're connecting to what they're saying if you are mirroring it back to them. I mean, it's.
Now the thing with attentive listening is that you still may be delivering those messages back to that person from your perspective.
Sure.
From your experience, from your lens. Yeah, from your lens.
Your rose-colored glasses.
Well, or just, somebody's telling you about a car accident, you may go to your own car accident that you had and relate from that perspective as opposed to, being the next level, which is empathic listening.
Yeah, so this is where autobiographical listening comes in because it's all about I. It's like think autobiography. So it's let me relate to this experience from my experience, and then you start sharing your experience, and it's actually what happens is it actually becomes a withdrawal because now you're making the conversation about you.
Right. me. Yep.
I mean, again, it is a better level of listening than the other 3, and yet there is a next level up, which is
empathic listening.
Boom, baby. Empathic listening. This is the highest level of listening and definitely requires the greatest amount of mental faculty, emotional maturity, presence, the ability to really like get into their space and into their energy and into their vibe. And it is like you are literally removing yourself from the equation and you are getting into their space, like putting yourself in their shoes. Like, what does it feel like to be Bill Jamison right now as he's sharing about his run? And what does it feel like him as he's sharing about his surgery? And what does it feel like to be about him when he's sharing about that experience? And so it allowed me the space to like really get in there and feel the process that Bill went through as he's moving through the surgery and the running and his experience with running and recontextualizing that relationship and developing that relationship. And it's like, oh, and then as a result of that, I'm able to mirror that back to him and like really have an understanding and like really get in there with him and then make that emotional deposit as I feel I did with like just sharing about how great that must feel for you to connect not only you're connecting all of, your body and reconnecting your heart and in the motions of running, but you're connecting with, the person, and so it's
so to be as punny as possible, then you're literally putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
Yes. Running shoes.
Yes.
Which are Adidas right now.
Yes, they are.
Oh, I got those new On Clouds.
Yes.
You really got to try them.
Okay.
So anyway, sidebar. Hi.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So it is challenging, right? It can be.
It is challenging. And it's so rewarding though. Like, it's a practice. You've got to practice it. We practice it. We practice
like
it
intentionally practice it.
Yes.
So,
to the point where it's like, okay, I'm practicing. I'll when I was really, I'm practicing empathic listening. I would say that to Bill, like, so he knew that I'm practicing and, I may have messed it up. So, and that's okay. And that's all right. And yet it is a level of listening that is usually reserved for your most intimate circle, which is obviously, again, your friends, family, clients, whoever's in your most intimate circles and, your closest relationships. And of course, it is the opposite of Fubbing.
Yeah. If the, if you have Fubbing is like a -10, then empathic listening is a +10. There's no doubt.
For sure.
So the question is, our friends out there, our listeners, is where can you level up in your listening? And to level up means to understand where you are. So go back and maybe take a look at or take a listen to where you are in your listening. Where are you selective, being a little more selective with your listening? Where do you pretend? If you find that there are areas where you are pretending, will you choose to at least move into selective listening? And then, if you can do that for a little while, then maybe you can get into more attentive listening. But yeah, it's a muscle like anything else, right? And you're not going to go from ignoring, all the way to empathic listening.
No, it's going to take reps and practice and patience.
And working the muscle. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like running.
Just like running.
It's the same thing. It's like being slow and intentional. Go slow, get there fast.
Cool.
Absolutely. And the payoff, the reward is huge. I mean, it's huge. It's a level of trust. Oh, I can trust that you're going to be with me in this moment and not make it about you. We're going to be with me in this moment and really like help me understand or ground me. You may not even say anything. You don't necessarily have to say anything. It's just it's a practice associated with understanding and being aware and holding space and just supporting. So I love it.
So part of that level up, maybe creating some phone guidelines with your spouse or partner or your family, so that you can do that level up. Whether it's putting the phone down during meal times, creating some hours that the phone is put away, put it down during the day at some point, and have some screen free time, or maybe just no tech at all between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. or whatever is going to fit your lifestyle and your business and whatnot. So so where are you in your listening? We want to know. Your comments would be great on either our Facebook page for Sex, Money, and Real Estate. You can also find us on Instagram at Sex, Money, and Real Estate. And you can always email us your comments or your opportunities or where you would like some feedback at sexmoneyrealestate@gmail.com.
Yep, absolutely. And so I did share with everyone that just some of the things that we put in place as a result of our Fubbing conversation, our Fubbing breakdown, that's what we did. So 9 p.m. to, did we set we get up at, did we set, I don't think we set an AM time, but from 9 p.m. until essentially when it's probably about 7 a.m., I guess, 6 a.m.
Yeah, right around there.
So phones down, obviously no phones during meals. And I was talking with Rex this morning, just talking about this conversation and that we were going to record this today. And he's like, I would like to request no phones during movie times, like when we spend family time together watching movies or, the Marvel or Star Wars series or anything like that. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. So I appreciated him vocalizing his request. So that was really cool. So those are some of the things that we do. I know when the boys were little, we put our phones down from 4:30 to 7:30 because that was the PM routine. And the
little.
Yeah, probably all the way up until like 7 or 8. And it allowed us the space to have family dinner and connect and do bath and reading and put the kids to bed and all of that stuff. And then if we had some work to do afterwards, then we would pick it up. But then we did put it back down.
Right.
I know that when they were younger and before it was way out of hand. I mean, we were like laptops in bed, phones in bed, all kinds of stuff. 2 sexless ships passing in the night. And that was way out of bounds. So we have definitely reeled it in. But and I'm definitely interested in what you guys are doing in your families or your daily routine to enhance. I mean, just really create best practices and share and build that community support. So that's what I got, babe.
Awesome. Peace goes out, love goes out, and we'll see you down the road.
Awesome. Thank you.
Later.
Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for listening. If you're inspired, we ask that you share the podcast with one person and subscribe and follow our show. I'm Nancy Jameson.
And I'm Bill Jameson.
And remember, it's a great life.
Woo!
Quick note about the Sex, Money, and Real Estate podcast. We are not doctors or licensed therapists. We are a joyous, abundant, and mature couple passionately sharing our story of growth around sex, money, and real estate. Our thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are our own, so please consult your doctor, healthcare provider, or your broker regarding any questions or issues you have related to your physical or mental health or specific state laws regarding your real estate business.